Hi, if you find that you get really close to people and you're really excited about relationships, just to find out either it's not who you thought it was or they turn on you at some point and it's very confusing and painful, I'm going to give you 8 traits of a trustworthy person so you can begin to close that trust gap. Hi, my name is Olivia, and I am passionate about helping you understand what relational trauma is so that you can heal, overcome, and move on with your life. So today, everything is coming from my book, The Relationship Trust Boundary Model. I'm going to give you a piece of the model that's going to help to close that gap that we have when it comes to trust. So I want you to think, what do you base if you trust a person? Is it if they like the same music? Does that make you trust them? Maybe you trust them because they are at your local area. Maybe you work with them, you go to church with them, you go to school with them, they live in your neighborhood. What does it take for you to trust someone? What are they doing that's causing you to have trust with them? Sometimes it's just time, sometimes nothing. Maybe you were taught you give someone all your trust, and then if they burn you, well, then that's who you know you can't trust. But the problem is, when you've given someone all your trust, that means you've let them get close to you and you've been vulnerable with them, both emotionally and physically. So you've given them a lot of information, a lot of what you're thinking and feeling, and you're also letting them in your space and you're giving them access to yourself and to your things. So it doesn't make sense that we would give someone all of our trust and then decide if they're trustworthy. We want to learn instead, close that gap. Are you trustworthy? I want to know that first. And then as you give me a bit of trustworthiness, I give you a little bit more of my trust. Show me you're a bit more trustworthy, I give you a bit more. Instead of all my trust and you're showing me nothing, or you showed me a little bit and then I give you all my trust. So here is the key. You want to trust those who are trustworthy. That's who you give your trust to. So a person who is trustworthy, they're going to show you some traits over time. And as they show you these traits, this is how you begin to give them a bit more of your trust. If they are not showing you these traits, or they're showing you the opposite of the traits, then you're not ever going to give them any more of your trust because they're not giving you a reason to. So I want you to think about barriers we face from that. So sometimes we're taught, well, if you're not trusting, that's because you're a shady person, right? I don't know if any of you have ever heard that or were raised with that if you are not giving someone all of your trust, it's because you can't be trusted. But truly, nothing could be further from the truth. If you have good boundaries, if you are healthy, and if you are saying, no, if I know my worth and my value, I'm not just giving you all my trust because I understand that I am valuable, that I am precious, and I like myself, I like my space. I don't want a bunch of drama, a bunch of chaos. I don't need any more trauma, right? That's for sure. So if I'm deciding that, then I don't owe you access to me or my things or my children or my pets or my animals or anything, right? I don't owe you a thing. So as long as you're showing me that I can trust you because you're a trustworthy person, then yeah, you're probably going to get more of my trust. So this is coming from page 10 from the Relationship Trust Boundary Model. The entire thing works together to help you understand boundaries. And I will put a QR code on the screen. I'm also going to put a link in the description that'll take you to Amazon and you can get the book and learn the model for yourself. There's also a playlist that I will leave a link to. So let's just dive right in. So here is the trick, right? We want to trust those who are trustworthy, but the question then is, well, how do I know if someone is trustworthy? What does that mean to earn my trust or to show me that you're trustworthy? So here are 8 traits that someone who is trustworthy is going to show you. So if you have a person in your life that's showing you these qualities as a person before you're really in a more committed relationship, whether that's romantic or friendship, then you're trusting them because that's who they are in general. It's not like they're shady to the entire planet, but then when it comes to you, they're not going to do those things to you. You're not believing that because that usually is not the case. Whatever you see them doing eventually is probably going to circle back around to you. I don't know if you've ever noticed that in your life. So here is the first trait. Number 1, they are loyal and reliable. So if someone is loyal to you, that just means they don't betray you. They don't make fun of you. They don't humiliate you. They don't side with someone against you. They don't take you somewhere and act like they don't know you. And then when you're back in private, they act like they know you again. So they're loyal to you. What does it mean to be reliable? If someone says, I'm going to come help you around 6:30, for the most part, you can count on them and rely on them to do what it is they've said they're going to do. If someone is constantly betraying you, if someone is constantly breaking their word, not reliable, just as an individual, then you wouldn't give them more trust, right? They're not showing you a reason to give them more trust, so you don't give them more trust. Number 2, their words align with their actions. That means what you hear them saying and what you see them doing aligns, right? It's not, I'm hearing you say one thing, I'm consistently seeing you do another, and it's not aligning. That's too confusing. Something's going on. Maybe I misunderstand, or maybe there are extenuating circumstances. But if I keep seeing that until I understand why that's occurring, I'm not giving more trust. And the model teaches you what it means to give someone less trust. You give them less access to you, less access to what you're thinking and feeling, less access to you physically. Okay, number 3, you don't catch them lying to other people. Have you ever been standing next to someone who you knew was lying about themselves to another person? And it's like, you're making me feel so weird because I know you're lying. Like, you're not in the military. What do you expect me to do? Stand here and just listen to you lie and not say anything? Am I supposed to back up your lie? Like, what exactly is happening? This is weird. So if you're watching them lie to someone else, be mindful. It's a good chance they're probably lying to you too. So you would give that person less trust. Number 4, they don't talk about other people behind their back and then pretend to be their best friend. So they're not bad mouthing. It's sort of like being two-faced. If you're watching someone be two-faced, or they just talk horribly about this person and now the person comes and they're giving them a hug and tell them how much they missed them, it's kind of like, what? So pretty much your gut is going to tell you this is confusing. I don't understand this. That's a good indicator. There's probably some manipulation going on and you'd want to give that person less trust. Number 5, they don't steal. So if someone is taking things, it could even be little things. Let's say someone just kind of on the regular takes something from their job. Maybe they're taking pens or Post-its and they always justify it. Well, I work overtime and they don't ever blah, blah, blah. Or I've been here for 15 years. The least they can do is give me this pack of pencils. They're a big corporation. They're not going to miss it. However, they're excusing and justifying their poor behavior, which is stealing, even something small. It doesn't have to be something big. Be mindful. That's probably a person who's also going to justify if they take from you or if you're on the losing end of something that involves them. They're justifying how they have more rights or special rights, even though it's illegal. Number 6. So someone who shows empathy. At first I was like, wait, if they can't show empathy? No. If someone shows you empathy. So that means they grieve when you grieve, they rejoice when you rejoice. So if you have someone who can be like in the pit, in the mud, and going through the trauma and the drama and the thick of it with you, and then when you start to rise above that, they can also celebrate you. So someone who's just interested in the trauma and the drama, but when you start climbing out of that, they're like gone. Or maybe you're on top and then you slide and now you're in the thick of it, and where'd they go? So it's someone who can do both with you. So sometimes we think, oh, you're so dedicated to me, you're so loyal to me, you're going through this very hard time. But you notice you start to come out of that and they just don't seem to want anything to do with you. Then maybe they were getting some sort of something from your hard time and they're really not interested in you as a person growing and doing well. So pay attention. Are they there through the thick and the thin and the celebration, the peak and the pit? Can they be through there with you through both? Some people can't, and that doesn't mean that you can't trust them or have them in your life, but it just means, okay, well, the rule with the relationship trust boundary model is the ones who are closest to you have built the most trust with you. And the ones who are furthest from you have broken the most trust with you. So if someone is super close to you, that we would already know they can do both with us. Or when it comes to that peak or to the pit, then we're finding out where their loyalties lie, and then we can make adjustments as needed. But if you're finding that they're with you through both, then that's a person you could give a lot of your trust to. All right, so number 7, they feel guilty when they wrong someone. So someone who feels bad for doing something bad to someone else shows you, okay, they have a conscience. They're not blaming someone for something that they did to them. Instead, they're saying, oh man, I did this thing and I was wrong and I am sorry. Because guess what? That's probably what you're going to get when they've done something wrong to you, whether intentionally or on accident. And the last one, number 8, they respect your boundaries. Boundaries can be an interesting thing. So if you say, I'm not super close with this person. I don't really like hanging around them. So, that they just know you have a history with this person. And then you both decide to meet for coffee and they invite that person. That's not respecting your boundaries. You've already made it clear, I don't want to be around this person, and they brought them anyway and they didn't tell you. Or maybe they told you 5 minutes before you arrived. So that's not someone who's showing that they respect you, and they're not respecting your boundaries. So your no means no and your yes means yes, and they leave it at that. But if someone, you're telling them what you don't like, you're telling them what you don't want, and they keep doing it, they are not showing you respect. So remember, the rule is those who are closest to us have earned the most trust with us. And if someone doesn't respect your boundaries, they are breaking your trust. They're not building trust with you, and that means they get less of you, less of what you're thinking and feeling, and less of you physically. So hopefully, as we continue to close this trust gap and we get better at understanding trust, the role of trust in our relationships, how to know if we can trust someone, and what to do when someone breaks trust, and what to do when someone builds trust, that's going to help us overall be more successful in our relationships. It doesn't have to be this big mystery. We don't have to keep restarting with our relationships. It doesn't mean that dynamics can change and you have to renegotiate a relationship, because that is part of life. But if we stop just letting everyone get super close to us, wait for them to burn us, and then pop them out of our lives, or never allowing someone in, even when they've shown us that we can trust them, that's also going to be a problem in relationships for us. So again, you can find all of this and more from the Relationship Trust Boundary Model. The link is in the description. I will also put a link for the course in the description. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next one.